So, if you do not know already, there is a new Algorand CMO. Jessica Tsai, is it Algorand Foundation appoints Jessica Tsai as Chief Marketing Officer. The Algorand Foundation, the organization focused on growing the ecosystem for the world's most secure, reliable Layer 1 blockchain, has announced today the appointment of Jessica Tsai Chin as CMO. Effective January 17th, Chin will focus on carving out mindshare and bringing global recognition to Algorand and its ecosystem to help drive global adoption of the network. Now, one of the most interesting things here is Algorand's tech. We've been working with it for a while, right? And it's really good, but there's always been this contention, this disconnect with the marketing. I never quite understood the leadership of Algorand. I'll be very honest. It's a tad wonky. I'm not going to lie, it's a tad wonky. But it seems to be getting better, and that's what matters. So, joining Algorand was a no-brainer for me. It was a combination of the best-in-class technology and professionalism of the team. The overall promise of Web3 that drew me to this role, whereas the last two cycles have been about first-generation blockchains, this cycle will be about Algorand. I am, okay, let's pause. Let's pause for a second. That sounds ambitious, and our platform is built on Algorand. Like, there's going to have to be a huge turnaround when it comes to the different relationships and the different marketing strategies that Algorand uses specifically. I am optimistic, though. Algorand's platform is so good. It's so accessible and it's so good. I will always be that guy that says stuff like Ethereum and having to utilize Solidity, a new coding language, or like a different kind of framework that's like not even accessible to most people who are developers. It's annoying. It's so annoying. Ethereum, building on Ethereum, it's gonna cost you to build on Ethereum. And they just happen to have the marketing the marketing leverage to be the top blockchain out there, as well as being like the first mover. If you understand, like, if you're the first mover in a certain market, you are going to be exactly one of the first go-tos. Even if your technology is trash, even if your shit is trash, just because you got there first, you are likely going to be able to gatekeep whatever industry that you are actually a part of. I look forward to driving global recognition of the Algorand ecosystem to benefit millions, if not billions of people. It's not going to be billions. There's only 7 billion people in the world. It's not going to be billions. I am cautiously optimistic here. Shin joins the Algorand Foundation with 15 years of experience in marketing for some of the world's best-known companies. Most recently, she was the head of brand for global privacy at WhatsApp. Oh, she worked for the Zuck. If you guys don't know, WhatsApp is owned by what used to be Facebook, now Meta, is owned by Meta. Worked for the Zuckerberg himself, where she developed the company's positioning as the world's top messaging platform. She also led the marketing team's metaverse efforts. See, that's impressive, because what's interesting about the marketing efforts of the metaverse, or Meta itself, is that their marketing campaign was clean. It worked. People knew about it. And if you know anything about business, you have to understand it's so important to have the ability to be able to get in front of as many people's faces as possible. There's this cliche, it's like, oh, build it and they will come. That's it's like an anti-cliche. If you truly believe that, you'll probably fail as a business. You do not build it and they will come. You have to get in front of people's faces, and that's when they'll come. Prior to joining WhatsApp, she worked in global brand marketing at Nike. Damn, Jessica Tsai has got some experience. Okay. Prior to joining WhatsApp, she's worked in global brand marketing at Nike, where she developed mobile first membership growth initiatives that drove massive global fandom and community engagement for platforms like, is that Snickers? Sneakers. What is this? What is that? Sneakers, Nike sneakers? And the Nike Run app. Ah. And then before that, she spent 4 years at Apple leading global special projects for enterprise technology products. Yo, who did they get here? I'm actually so shook. At this point, I have to look up her name. I just have to look up her name. Who is this? Head of brand for global privacy? What the hell? That's wild. She's obviously good at what she does. See, I quickly moved from cautiously optimistic to just optimistic now. As long as Algorand's leadership team can actually complement her skill set and what she brings to the table properly, then I'll be just hands down for it. That's wild. These experiences give Chin valuable Silicon Valley insights to apply at Algorand as the foundation seeks to onboard the next billion users to blockchain. That's ambitious. But I truly believe that Algorand can do it. I'm not going to lie. Shin will report directly to the Algorand Foundation CEO, Stacy Warden. After a lengthy search, I'm thrilled that Jessica agreed to join the Algorand Foundation to lead our global marketing efforts. She has a brilliant sensibility for driving a brand initiative, understands cutting edge technology, and comes from a deeply inclusive mindset. I'm looking forward to working closely together with her to develop a long term strategy for Algorand as the very best platform for Web3 innovation and the future of inclusive finance. I don't really have much to say about that. I really don't. Shin is the latest senior executive appointment at the Algorand Foundation, where Warden has recruited a slate of senior leaders across Web3, tech, and finance in the past year, including Min Wei as the global head of ecosystem growth, Eric Raj as global head of business development and capital markets, and Deirdre Halligan as COO, Harpal Singh as CFO, and John Woods as CTO. There's a lot of name dropping there. I'm going to be honest. A lot of unnecessary name dropping. In the coming weeks, the Algorand Foundation will hold a virtual listening tour to engage the Algorand community for feedback on marketing priorities. To learn more, please follow Algorand Foundation on Twitter. And quite honestly, we'll have to make sure. Yeah, let's do that right now. Well, we're already following them. We'll be talking more about what's going on here. And this is just essentially about the Algorand Foundation. Earlier today, Jessica Tsai was actually, they had a Twitter space, right? We will be listening to this Twitter space as we speak, giving our thoughts here. Let's take a look at the Twitter space that they had today to hear exactly how they engage with the community and onboarding Jessica Tsai here to be the new CMO of the Algorand Foundation.
Hello, Jess.
Hey, hey.
to give a shout out to the marketing team at the foundation. And I said this on our assembly before, but let me just say it again. When I started, we did not have a particularly good marketing, and a lot of that came from the fact that we didn't put any resources behind it and then really any attention to it. And I think, and I've said this a number of times, I think the biggest mistake that we made was to say we have the best tech in crypto. Sure.
Agreed. Here's the thing. There's like the saying, like, you'll build it and they'll come. But the marketing with it was very weak. It was ineffective. People had to search for Algorand in order to understand what Algorand was. And if you don't do the search, it's just this weird fringe technology, even though the technology is so good, but the marketing efforts were lackluster at best.
I mean, the quality of this protocol speaks for itself. The quality of this community speaks for itself. So we just have to be there, build it, and they will come, right? We
What I say?
then lost our head of marketing in June. And I was interviewing and interviewing and interviewing, and I kissed a lot of frogs for this role, and a lot of very good frogs, actually, as well. And,
What kind of frogs?
you know,
Like, very good frogs? What's a good frog? I don't even know what that means.
our marketing team has held it together over the summer and really operated without direction. I was kind of quasi running the marketing department, which was not good for anybody, and particularly our marketing efforts. And finally, though, and not to put sort of any undue pressure on you, Jess, because like the world is not going to change in a day.
I was about to say, there sounds like there's a lot of pressure onto Jess here. Look, again, I'm cautiously optimistic. Like, when it comes to cryptos and like the Web3 space and then the Algorand ecosystem, the what's the saying? As below, as on top. Oh my god. As above, so below. Look at me, like try to as above, so below. Yes. As beloved, so below. And essentially what that means is, oh my god. I'm sorry for the history lesson with you, everyone. As beloved, so below often means almost as a wish. The way they want things on earth to be like what happens in heaven. And here's the thing. As beloved, so below. Whatever happens up top, because the main stakeholders that are actually influencing the Algorand community is the Algorand Foundation and Algorand Inc. That's it. I don't think there should be too much pressure on Suggest because each of us have a responsibility within the Algorand ecosystem to actually like do something here. But we shall see, right?
We're not going to spend on a dime. She's got a lot of work to do. This is the beginning of this process of understanding, what this community needs, how we're going to position this protocol, what we're going to do. But I am beyond thrilled to announce the onboarding of our Chief Marketing Officer, Jess Chin. So I want to just start by saying that you worked at Nike first, and that we did have an announcement strategy, which was that I was going to say Nike on one day, and then I was going to say Apple, and then I was going to say WhatsApp, and it was going to be like a 3-part thing. But the Nike thing, and if I thought about it for 5 seconds, of course, I should have realized everybody started thinking we had this Nike partnership. So that was not a very good move. But this is why we have a head of marketing now, to make sure that I don't do these knuckleheaded things going forward. But
I know the feeling of doing knuckleheaded executive things. Like, oh my gosh, when we start talking about the token, the Webblen token here, oh, I've been a bit of a knucklehead here and there, and I'd love to walk through it essentially.
You come from very hardcore Silicon Valley and also some very hardcore brands, right? Like three of the best known brands in this country are Nike, Apple, and Meta Facebook, right? I mean, you just couldn't come with any better credentials, and your credentials and you are worthy of the quality of this community and the quality of this protocol. And so, can everybody do a little like clap thing to welcome you first on this Twitter?
Oh man, sometimes like there's so much hype. There's so much. Oh God, Stacy's gassing Jess up so hard. Like I can't. I no 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 no. I'll chill out. I'll chill out. I'll chill out.
Space, a little everybody with the clap emojis, please, on this space. Thank you. And Jess, why don't I just turn it over to you and tell us a little bit about yourself, without talking about Algorand. Just give us a little bit of background on you so that we can know you a little bit more as a person.
Yeah, no, so glad. Thank you guys so much for this warm welcome. I'm so excited to be part of this community. I'm so excited for the amazing impact that we're going to have. We already have, but also the amazing adventure we're going to be on. But yeah, I can speak a little bit about myself, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know folks here as well. My background, I did start out in Silicon Valley. I was at Apple, actually right after the iPhone launched. I have some fun, amazing stories of Steve Jobs and some interactions there, but I won't divulge for now. But really, my beginnings really was starting out really thinking about the consumer experience, and especially in the retail space. So I actually helped launch a lot of their retail expansion as well as online efforts.
This is actually so refreshing. Like the Algorand ecosystem is actually like getting a good ass marketing officer. I can't. Like the amount of times I've thought like build it and they will come, build it and they will come. There's been so much grassroots marketing and grassroots fundraising with Algorand, but there was never quite the like how do we get that escape velocity? How do we actually build a brand that people, even if they don't know Algorand, even if they don't know Algorand, how do they how do they freaking consume the brand?
In Asia. So I was actually in Shanghai for a few years, really leading some strategic initiatives on behalf of the company, and had just an amazing time. I also worked really thoughtfully in headquarters, also thinking about internal enterprise level strategic projects, and it was an amazing time. I think for myself, though, I really wanted to pivot heavy into brand marketing because I felt like um, really wanting to be closer to the consumer and really thinking about yeah, how do we tap into actually like on the ground communities, and also personally as an athlete, I play basketball. I'm also very into running, and into a lot of running communities. I My dream brand, I'll be honest, has always been Nike, and being able to work there was honestly an amazing experience. So my focus there really was on building these digital communities across, starting in football. So I actually started out in, as well as really thinking about like these on the ground communities. We call them fixer communities of football athletes, football obsessed teens, as well as those who are really just like absolute fandoms of Nike, our products. And so from there, really built out a full global ecosystem of runners, of athletes, of you can call them retail users as well, of our products, and really developed a really powerful, actually, it's a revenue sharing model around our jerseys, and tied to the World Cup campaign. So it was about habits. So when you think about, especially specifically in Asia, and so thinking a lot about the consumer journey. So what are the main touch points that our consumer touches, and really what are the main messages and also experiences that would really create loyalty beyond reason for the Apple consumer, since we were so new in Asia at the time. And again, the iPhone had so many more local competitors and how we really brought that to life. So that was a really fun time. My encounters with Steve Jobs, I have two. I'm going to share one of them.
Okay.
I had worked on a lot of enterprise level solutions back in the home base, and basically we had come up with this like amazing strategy and also
Oh wow, did I just cut that off?
since we were so new in Asia at the time. And again, the iPhone had so many more local competitors and how we really brought that to life. So that was a really fun time. My encounters with Steve Jobs, I have two. I'm going to share one of them. I had worked on a lot of enterprise level solutions back in the home base, and basically we had come up with this like amazing strategy and also built out a UX called the iBuy. I'm not going to go into detail what it was, but basically I was presenting to our CFO Peter Oppenheimer at the time, and Steve Jobs walks in. I think he was walking in for some other he was not coming in for the meeting. He walks in, and then he just starts like asking a bajillion questions. What is iBuy? Like, tell me about this, tell me about that. And it was just it was like terrifying, but also an amazing opportunity, I guess, to not sell him, but like
So
basically share with him a really powerful concept of how we can enable like procurement and different things across the organization and beyond. So it was a good time. It was a good time. It was a while ago, so I won't go into detail.
Yeah, trial by fire, though, for sure. And so I think you were not looking for a job.
No.
I think it's fair to say you had a very good, you're at a top company, and you had a wide remit, and we thanks to
gassing her up so hard, it's wild.
Jason Lee, who you knew socially and professionally.
Yeah.
You kind of came to us, and I, of course, was so excited, when I met you. But what kind of, what attracted you to Algorand, and how were you, maybe starting with, to what extent were you even thinking about Web3, right, per se, and what about layer ones, and what about Algorand in particular, and just, you were happy, and so what happened?
Yeah. I will say I was not looking. This definitely came to me. I will say I've been following Algorand for some time though, so just to be clear, Jason and I have been friends for years, and very,
I
very
don't know
like good friends. And so just learning
I don't know
and
who Jason
hearing
is.
about his own journey, network over to for this role. But I will say after meeting some more folks, I ended up meeting a lot of the team, met some folks just in the Algorand ecosystem. I really felt like it felt like in some ways WhatsApp in the early days, where there was this amazing product, and also huge impact. Like, and I personally, I'm such a passion. I am so passionate about equity and inclusion when it comes to a financial access perspective, and just the stories that were being told, disaster relief, you name it. I think it drew me, and also the tech drew me. I've worked again like Apple, like best in class WhatsApp, Meta, but best in class tech. Just not enough storytelling and human centered.
This is why I can tell like she's actually a very good marketer. Like I can feel it. There's this sense of appealing to like a if I don't think about this too hard, it works, right? It's only if I don't think about it too hard, it works. That means appealing to the lowest common denominator. Like that's what marketing is all about. You have to be able to appeal to the lowest common denominator and make it as accessible as possible. Because at the end of the day, not everybody is going to understand what you're talking about. It's impossible. You want to make it the amount of buzzwords and the amount of like fluff I'm feeling with this conversation. This is good. This is good. And there is hype that can be delivered. I swear there's hype that can be delivered. In the Algorand ecosystem, there is hype that can be delivered. We can bring in more investors. The partnerships are there. This is pretty much, very much a corporate blockchain. It's actually one of the biggest reasons we decided to build on it ourselves. Because when it comes to it actually being able to build relationships with Visa, MasterCard, Capital One, building relationships with, oh man, let me, you'll see what I mean. You'll see what I mean. Your ecosystem. FIFA. They were even on, they were one of the notorious ones that actually did advertisements on Times Square. If you want to see that, Algorand Times Square. Like that's who they are. That's Algorand. Like they have the resources, they have the technology, but then it really comes down to what is the leadership? How is the leadership going to direct this? And I have huge stake in how they direct it because the whole mass adoption of a billion, I'm so interested to see them funnel a billion users. Maybe we can help. I mean, maybe. Maybe even like the other top blockchains can help. The other top dApps, the other top DeFi projects, like maybe. But it still fundamentally comes down to how accessible are you going to make your language? And the way that Jess is talking, it's so that it feels like it's there. I can feel it. I can literally feel the marketing hand.
Entered differentiation as a brand, I was like, it just felt like a lot of upside and opportunity. And so took me a long time. I will say, Stacey, you courted, I don't know if you courted me for about like 2, 3, 4 months. That I've just been thinking and reflecting a lot about what I wanted to do in this next chapter. And it felt meaningful enough to take a leap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of myself for doing this, I must say. And
Oh,
can I maybe, and we have a bunch of community questions that were given us, so I want to make sure that we give, some time to that. But maybe if I can kind of marry the two questions together. What and you've just arrived, so I want to be, I'm not expecting anything, fully fleshed out, right? But
Yeah.
your experience at these huge companies that everybody knows the names of these companies, everybody understands those brands. What can you say maybe that you take from those experiences that you can apply to Algorand and to our situation, and even in just kind of broad strokes? How do you think about kind of applying that skill set and those learnings to what the situation that we face right now as a protocol?
Yeah, I definitely think this is like there's so much, and I know that Web3 marketing fundamentally there's so many differences, and I know that that was one of the community questions that were asked, and I'm really happy to dive into that as well. But I will say that there are just the practice of marketing. There are some truths that I think can be very much applied. So things like the fact that I think when I first joined, I got a lot of questions around like what who like
currently, when it comes to, I have a positive outlook on Jess. I really do. I'm interested to see exactly what the next steps are for Algorand and exactly what kind of marketing strategy that she's going to be deploying within the next quarter and a half as well. I think it's a good point in time to actually transition to the next topic. It's essentially talking about the Webblen token health and the upcoming token burn. And here we are.